one do you want?
Palette knife. I prefer these. Okay, so what we've got here, we're going to be doing pointillism, and we're going to be working with your 4 colors, 3 colors plus white. So here we've got, okay, so I'm just going to push this together. So we got the original, and then we're doing a string of color. So give me more white, please. Or don't, maybe I'll be okay. So this is the white, and then the lightest one is at the bottom. And then here we've got, it's because we want to mix Payne's Grey with burnt sienna with yellow ochre, and yellow ochre with Payne's Grey. So these two must mix, these two must mix, and these two must mix. That's why we're adding. So how do I mix that one with that one? Where do I put it? So that's why I put it over here. So this one's the same. So I'm just creating a string of color. So I want it from very dark to very light. The more variation I have in my dark and my light, the better. This one as well. Lovely color. Because in the end I also want to mix them with each other. And then this one again. No, that's all right. I can do with what I've got. So it's just a string of color. And I put a little bit of the white. Okay. So now we've got our basic colors. This is all earth tones. So we've got dark to light, cold, warm, warm, cold. Or you could say cold. So this burnt sienna is actually not very hot, but it should be cold, warm, very hot, cold. So in between this, we're also going to make mixtures. So we're going to mix this one, say, with this one, which gives you a different mix. Can you see that? Then we're going to mix, say, this one with this one, which gives you a different mix. And you're going to mix this one with this one, which is going to give you a different feel. So you get the in between. So dark to light, cold, warm, cold. Okay.
If that one is not hot, what are you going to use? If you want it hot, what are you going to use instead of that one?
I would just use a better brand. This is not such a good brand. What is it?
Okay, it's this Lucas thing.
Oh yeah, that's very pasty. Lucas is very pasty, yeah, unfortunately. Okay, so
which one would you recommend?
I would recommend the Zelkrol for this one. Zelkrol in South Africa anyway. This is a very, so you want to, the moment the paint becomes pasty, there's too much other things in there. But that's fine for this exercise. It's fine. Okay. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to use my nylon brush. So these are the brushes we're going to be working.
The bigger one.
No, these.
For the nylon.
No, it's okay. Okay, this is my brushes. I'm mostly going to work with hogshair. We're doing pointillism. I'm going to work with hogshair. And I'm just going to use the nylon brush to, thanks. I'm just going to use the nylon brush to draw my line work out. Because if once we start putting the paint on, you're going to miss the line work. So I'm just drawing it out very roughly. Nice organic lines, and I've got my setup over there so I can see. And now I'm going to just very lightly okay, now I'm going to use the hogshair. No, it's going to be too. I'm going to use the hogshair, and I'm just going to very lightly, very thin, just wash in plus minus where I see my darks. That's dark. So at this point I don't care about the technique. I just want to show myself where the darks and the lights is, and I'm going to show myself where the hots and the colds is. So this is dark, and this is definitely more cooler, very light. Doesn't matter what it looks like. I just want to show myself where is what. So this is warm coloring over here. There's some warm, so I can overlap So it's almost like a bit of a scumble, but it's very, very, very thin. I just want to get paint down softly. I just want to get paint down on the paper. Okay, so now that's enough for a basis. So I'm going to use this one. This one is actually a nice one because it's got a flat bottom. This one has got a slightly rounded bottom. So this is pointillism. It's a crook pointillism. It's not a real pointillism. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to put your brush in the paint like this. I'm going to start with my dark. Then get rid of the excess. So you don't want to do that. You want to do a very light movement. So you can see it's very little paint. So this brush is actually nice because it's got that flatness about it already. So I'm going to start with my dark, and so obviously with this I'm going to get a very fuzzy edge, and I'm going to start with my dark and just put in where I see the dark. So you always, with acrylics and oils, you always start dark to light because it's an opaque medium, meaning it's non-translucent. With inks and watercolors, we generally do light to dark because it's a translucent medium. So there I've got my first layer. So the more you layer it, the better it's going to become. Now in this area here I see slight warmth. So now I'm going to go, okay, I'm going to add a bit of warmth here. Test it. It's dark and warm. Now I'm start blending the colors together. So it's a very upright movement. It's not, you have to keep the brush very upright. So you can see now I'm starting to overlayer colors here. So now, yes, I'm not actually even cleaning the brush. I'm basically just going to wipe it because you want color to stay on the brush. And now I'm going to go, I'm still using my top colors here. Now I'm going to go, okay, there is like a little bit of dark, and I just layer. So if it becomes too dark, it's fine. Remember, we're working with the opaque paint. We can create lightness by adding light on top of it. So the more I layer it, the more interesting it's going to get. So this area here is very warm here and light. So it's very warm. So if I look at very warm, very light, so I'd probably go here lighter. So sort of in between the two there. Warm, light. So my question I always ask myself, my first question is it dark or is it light? My second question is it hot or is it cold? And that I ask for every single thing I do, for every painting that I work with. So it's actually a technique, it goes very, very quickly. You get results very quickly and you can get amazing detail. So here I'm seeing there's some warm there. So yes, I can see the warm. Now I've asked myself, is it a dark warm or is it a light warm? It's a dark warm. So is it a very hot warm or is it a cool warm? So there's very hot, there's a cool. So a very hot warm. So I'm going to go up to the top of the burnt sienna. So hot warm sitting there, and I've got my dark already underneath. And then it goes a little bit this way. And this is slightly cooler. So now I have to mix it, my burnt sienna mixed with my Payne's grey. Test it. A little bit cooler. Now I'm going to go around here and I'm looking, okay, that's quite warm, more like a reddish tint. So that would be, so the moment you have something that's a reddish or yellowish kind of tint, then you know it's hot. If it's got a bluish, greenish tint, then it is cool. That's how you distinguish. Excuse me. So can you see it's starting to layer already? So obviously with this I can also use glazing, which I'll show you just now. So here I can see this area is light and bright and warm. So I'm going to go for my yellow ochre mixed with my white. So I'm not clean. I'm always testing the color first. Can you see? So it's always good. One of the things that most people make the mistake of is that they don't test their color before they put it on. So I'm using very little paint. It's not a lot of paint actually. And the more I lay, the nice thing about this is the layering happens for you. You just have to keep on putting the paint on and make sure your brush stays clean. And the more you put it on, the better it starts looking. Now look here where the blues and that starts shining through each other. It's nice, eh? Okay, so now here, I'm like, okay, there's a coolness here. And so I've got a yellow, I'm going to go for yellow ochre with a little bit of the blue in it to create a coolness. Test it. Okay, there's a bit of a coolness here. A little bit of a coolness here. And the colors, because it's sort of going to mix it for me. I don't have to actually mix anything. And you see it's starting to pull together quite nicely. So here, and also I need to make sure that I've got, remember what's Leonie's rule of painting? You've always got dark against light. So that dark there, I can make a little bit darker. So that dark is cool, but there's also warm in it. So I'm going to use my yellow ochre mixed with my paints gray to make a nice dark, slightly cooler color. You can see there it's quite nice and dark. And it sort of gives you a greeniness. So don't go too, if you go too tight together, then it's going to make a blob. So you need to make sure you spread it a bit. And then also, you always want to bring in whatever color you've got on your painting, you need to repeat it somewhere. Otherwise, it's all alone and lonesome. It's going to get depressed. Now, this is darker and this is lighter. So I need to make this slightly darker. So let's feel how dry it is. So this is warmer, darker. Then there's a slight coolness here. Then this is lighter, brighter, but not hot, hot, hot. So this I can make much hotter. So that's, I'm going to use the burnt sienna mixed with the yellow ochre, because it's going to give me a very nice hotness. And I'm going to make it nice and hot here in the background. Now look at the layering. Because I've got the underneath layering, look at how much depth I'm getting there. So that's the nice thing of this technique. It gives incredible amounts of depth. And you see there? So now here in front, there's a little bit of that coming this way. So now I want to go a little bit more detail here. So this is much warmer here. And this is darker than this. So I need to get this a little bit darker. So the whole time, you have to compare what you're busy with. In your head, is it dark? Is it light? What's next to it? Is what's next to it lighter or darker? Is it hotter or colder? Because one of the basic principles of painting is that you have to, it works better when you have hot against cold and dark against light. Then you get because we're working with tonal values. Then you're getting 3 dimensions. And now I'm going to make this lighter. So now I've got the dark underneath, which is fine. And I'm putting the light on top. Now look there. Now it's starting to stand out. Can you see? And you just keep on going. Now also, you're not going to put every single drip. You're going to sort of spread them out. So where it's less, you spread them out. Where there's lots, you put them together. Now look how nice this is starting to look. I mean, this is not even nearly finished. You can keep going with this for hours. So this is much. So here I want to get a little bit more light. So I'm adding a little bit more light. Here I want to get, this is warmer and lighter, and this is darker and cooler. So I want to warm this up a little bit. So I'm going to take my burnt sienna mixed with my yellow ochre, because it's got my warmest color. Make it a little bit more yellowy to warm it up. Can you see how it's starting to? So now you can also, this is quite weird, you can also glaze, if you've got a wider glaze brush for me, you can also glaze over this. I just want to show you what's going to happen when we glaze. I'm going to go over to this brush now. I'm going to make it a little bit darker here in the corner. No, that's a hoxie. Yeah, give me a nylon. That's nylon.
Yeah, I see.
Okay. You want to glaze with your nylon.
Is this one too small?
Yeah, need a wider one, a wide one.
I think I put it
Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, and then give me the medium one that you got in your hand, the blue one. The blue one, yeah, that one. Yeah. I just want to show you what's going to happen when you glaze. I'm adding more. So now you can clearly see the dark and the light. So there's a little bit too much transition right in the middle here. So I need to bring some of this color over, but I'd rather have it darker than lighter because I can remember we can add light on top. So here I've got a warmth there. And there we go. There's light here. Can you see how it's starting to pull together? Slowly but surely, a little bit at a time. And I haven't washed my brush once, did you notice? Okay, I just want to show you what happens. Let's hope it's okay. But you can always glaze over any painting that you've done. So let's say I want to warm up this area here, there. So now I can take my pure color, make it very thin, very translucent, and now I can glaze over that. So just hope that there's not too much wet paint here. Can you see it gives it an edge? So I can actually shape it with this. So here where it's like warmer, I can actually glaze it warmer, very, very thin, lots of water. Test it, okay. Then I can warm up what I want to warm. But you know, the thing is, your paint must be dry, otherwise you're going to end up mixing. Everything's going to start mixing together, which you don't want. So this, I actually want to create more light here. So this is now nice and warm here. This has got a reddishness there, so I'm going to glaze there. Can you see there? So now here I can definitely go darker. I'm going to go back to, this is, for me, that's darker there at the edges. I'm going to go a little bit darker, and it's warm, but it's not hot, hot, hot. I'm finally finished, and I'm very happy with the end result. Loving the face of the girl, and just the wind blowing, which will be significant of a spiritual feeling. The name of the painting will be I Will Die For You, therefore the red on the breast of the swan dying for the girl.